meeting for Thursday, May 18th. Annie, to do a roll call for us.
Online, it looks like we have Angela Priest, Cheryl Hartman, Elena Evans, Kelly Becker. We have, sorry, my presentation. Kelly Becker, Iowa Leonard, Melissa Fisher, Sarah Richardson, Violet Plummer, Kylie Gibson, and MPAT. And in 206, we have Commissioner Slotnick, Strohmeyer, and Bureau. We have Vincent Pavlish. We have Carrie Powers. We have Gina Miller, and Annie Cathy. That is it.
Great, thanks, Annie.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda?
Happy Mount St. Helens Eruption Day.
All right,
Wow.
great.
1980, May
Wow.
18th.
Nice. I have heard, I wasn't here, that ash fell in Missoula.
It looks like it snowed.
Oh, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah, because we had newborn foals on the ground, and so we were worried about them, and then my parents didn't let me and my brother go outside because
Wow.
of the ash. I mean, it was covered.
Dang, we're a long ways from Mount St. Helens.
Thanks for that reminder.
Yeah, that's a cool thing. All right, we have a consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda anyone would like to pull out and speak about?
Consent agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, thanks. Our first action items from Kaylee Becker. And this is around 10 Spoon.
Yes, good morning. Good to see you all. So this item is for a recently approved open space bond project by the city of Missoula. So they approved or signed the approval resolution for the 10 Spoon open space bond project in late March. And as a reminder, this project was a conservation easement, fully donated conservation easement on the 21-acre 10 Spoon Vineyard and winery up in the Upper Rattlesnake. And the city will does hold the conservation easement. The open space bond project was a request for up to $40,000 to cover the transaction and project related costs for this, and it included the conservation easement as well as a pedestrian walkway access along the property. And this project met multiple purposes of the 2018 open space bond, including protecting agricultural lands, open space, wildlife habitat and corridors, scenic views and landscapes, water quality, and providing access. And then this is a 2018 open space bond expenditure. So as you remember, the city approves projects from their share of the bond. And then once we have their approval resolution, it goes to the county commission for approval by signing the attached approval resolution. And from then we can make the expenditure to reimburse their costs. Are there any questions?
No, can I access myself? I usually look to one of you guys. Can I say something? So I just want to speak to this just for a moment. Maybe there are people listening or would listen in later aren't as versed up on conservation easements and understand how they work. So Andy and Connie are giving up any right to develop on this property any further, and the value of the conservation easement is the difference between conservation value if they're to sell that property with you can't develop on it versus how much could you sell this tomorrow if you want to build houses. That's the value of the conservation easement. In this case, the value of the easement is many millions of dollars, many millions of dollars. And Andy and Connie are donating that. Often when a landowner goes to do a conservation easement, they aren't in a position where they can donate and have other concerns, and they look towards a land trust organization and their philanthropy to come up with some of the costs, and they typically donate some too. This is a very unusual case in that Andy and Connie are donating the entirety of it, and it is a very large sum of money, and it's a piece of land that is an absolute gem in our valley. And the $40,000 covers the transaction costs and some of the legal things. The value here is the donation, and it's huge. And they really need to be commended, and I'm attempting to do that with this long-winded rant.
Thank you for that one.
Well said.
Well said. Wait, and again, Kaylee, the city holds a conservation easement, or who?
The city does.
Okay.
And again, if we're commending people, let's commend the city because they're not in the daily business of holding conservation easements, and they stepped up and are doing this, and they deserve some props as well.
Yes.
I move that we approve the open space bond project, the 10 Spoon Vineyard and Winery open space bond project, and approve the expenditure of up to 40,000.
Any public comment on this?
Well done.
Yeah, well done. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Next up, Elena.
Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Look at all those
Hey.
maps.
look at all those maps.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
Um,
Smurfit?
I'm not here.
I recognize that area.
Not here about Smurfit today, actually. This is an opportunity that we are committing to. It is an EPA grant that the Department of Environmental Quality is applying for. That's the Sewer Overflow and Stormwater Reuse Municipal Grant. And the concept that DEQ has is that then they would sub-award the larger EPA grant to counties and cities that could then use that money in an appropriate way for those communities to upgrade or improve septic and sewer stormwater infrastructure in their communities. And so this would be directed towards Sealy Lake, and we would outline exactly what that would look like and how we would implement that once we contracted with DEQ. But we brought this to you because it's a little more than a letter of support. It's a letter of commitment to matching that grant should it be awarded to us.
So what does what potentially would the match look like?
So it could be for, it's kind of modeled off of a program that's in the Flathead right now where there's septic pumping, reimbursement for folks adjacent to surface waters. There's also the potential for some septic upgrades. And then there's a bit of education and outreach, just getting information out there to the public about septics and the impacts to surface waters. So it's a little uncertain exactly what that would look like. That would be up to Gino more, and what other efforts we have ongoing in the Sealy area. But this is something where in the past, a landowner would improve their septic and then this would reimburse them for part of that upgrade, or they would pump it and then this would reimburse them for part of that pumping fee. And so the match is in some ways built in to landowners, but we'd also want to see what we could do to just kind of, help folks out and do what we could with the amount of money that would be sub-awarded to us. And the amount that we could do kind of depends on the amount that we're awarded, because pumping a septic is a much different cost than upgrading a septic.
Yeah,
Do we have, what's the range of the award, or?
good question.
Yeah, so they told us ballpark like 300,000.
Okay,
And-
so we'd be able to do $600,000 worth of work, or what, or?
So
It's here, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Elena knows a lot more about the award and the logistics surrounding that, but it's also my understanding that staff time, what we commit in resources is part of the match.
Oh, great.
And
Great.
so we have a lot of staff doing a lot of work
On
in
the
Philly
ground.
right now, and we would be able to document staff time, including fringe, So that is an even higher
That's great.
additional value. So I just, of course, depending on what the award is, I just don't see any issue getting to 20% of whatever that award might be, given that strategically, right now, we are doing a lot of work in Sealy because of the nitrate contamination. And we're not, of course, clear on what the program or reimbursement program or cost share would look like, but you know, I do want it to speak to the fact that the issue in Sealy Lake is not necessarily prematurely failing systems or bacterial contamination or a whole bunch of old systems. I mean, that may be the case, but a nitrate contamination issue is not solved by pumping tanks, and it's not solved by upgrading cesspools. It's solved by installing advanced tertiary treatment to remove nutrients from effluent. And that's kind of a different ballpark than just getting people a new system. So like Elena said, pumping a tank in Sealy, I'm completely gonna ballpark it, but it's probably now $300 or $400. Whereas installing a level 2 system on a property could be $40,000 or $50,000. And so it really depends on, of course, if we get an award and what the amount would be before we can kind of start to drill down what we might be able to offer. But it's so timely and it's awesome because I think, as you heard yesterday, the current regulations in place in Sealy are kind of a stopgap, and they've been a stopgap for about 14 years, and it never was intended to reverse the problem or correct the issue. It was kind of just holding the line, and it's not our reality anymore. We have to do something, and we're going to be starting a whole bunch of conversations with the community in a lot of different venues to talk about the way the regulations would change to start to reverse those nitrate contamination trends. And it would be awesome if we had even a little bit of resource to help out with whatever individual impacts it might have on property owners, which are yet to be determined, of course, because we don't have any proposed rules, but we're going that way.
Great. I'm really glad to hear about the in-kind match. And you guys do great work up there.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I
super
mean,
good.
it's a capacity issue, but it's
Also
exactly what
an
we should be
immediate
focusing
need.
Yeah.
too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it sounds like a good plan. So I would move that we authorize the chair to sign the letter of commitment.
Second.
Do we have any public comment on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Elena.
Elena
Thank you.
and Gina, thanks for your expertise.
Thanks for
both of you.
coming over.
Thank you.
It's-
Thank you.
I thought everyone was coming in.
Yeah. Glad you were here for that, though. That was an important piece of information.
Thank you.
All right, any correspondence? In the comms world, anything
Sorry.
we need to,
No, don't think so. Allison's not here, so.
okay. Great. Anything else? Then we're done. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for.
Wait a minute.
Goodbye.
Go.
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.